No, this isn't like an official announcement video. This is theory crafting, pure and simple. And to upfront the knowledge to be respectful for your time, I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I think it can happen, why it should happen, how the precons would work, and ultimately who the commanders could be for all of these precon decks if The Legend of Zelda and Magic the Gathering decided to work together. And if that's all you wanted to know, hey, by all means, hit the like button, maybe consider subscribing, and continue on with the day. If you're interested in more information, well, let's talk about it. All right, guys, Brent here back for Geek Variants, where we cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time, Magic the Gathering universes beyond. And while they've done a fantastic job with Final Fantasy, let's consider some stuff that maybe they should work on moving down the line. And for me, Legend of Zelda was near and dear to my heart, so I think it could be near and dear to yours as well as something that would work perfectly within their already structured format that they have going on here. Hopefully, not for the Final Fantasy prices we have listed above. However, I'm going to start off with 3 main reasons why this can happen and why it should happen. And the big reason is the big obvious reason: money. Pure and simple. Nintendo loves money. Magic the Gathering loves money. You love spending your money on fancy pieces of cardboard that bring you immense joy, myself included. And ultimately, when has Nintendo ever said no to making a buck? Let's just be honest here. With a minimal effort from Nintendo's part to make as much money as they possibly could off of this seems kind of like a no-brainer. Another good reason for why this could potentially work, let's just be real here. There is 30 plus years of lore that Nintendo has pertaining to The Legend of Zelda. Easily. And just to be clear, they have not attempted a card game. Not once, successfully. And to be clear, if Nintendo was going to do something to make money off an IP that they already owned, they probably would have done so by now. So this kind of gives me another reason, an inkling that, hey, this can't happen. As well as, another good reason why this should happen. Let's just be absolutely frank here. With The Legend of Zelda getting its own spin-off here, ideally a movie, and they're already beginning casting to some acclaim for many numerous reasons. Not going to get into those specifically, but if you want to get some extra fans and gain some extra publicity, how about kind of dropping a Magic the Gathering right before the movie drops? I'm just saying, beautiful symbiotic relationship here. Almost free advertisement. You make an insane amount of money, then your movie comes out and you make even more money. Win, win, win. Nintendo eats. Magic the Gathering gets to continue to make some extra money from their Universes Beyond IP. Everyone's pretty much happy. But with all things good and all things I believe, here's 2 main reasons why I don't think that it could potentially happen. Starting off, let's go with number 1. Nintendo loves to drop the ball. And anytime Nintendo seems like it's got like an absolute slam dunk of an idea and something that is beautifully going to work together for everybody and for everything, they just find a way to bungle it. You remember when Nintendo was going to upgrade its console thing so they could include discs with a company called Sony? You don't? No. Damn, I'm old. Well, in the 90s, they had a concept to where they were going to incorporate discs into their stuff. Sony was going to basically do all the legwork. Nintendo was going to slap their brand on top of it, and it was going to be a beautiful symbiotic relationship where everyone makes money. Nintendo decided to get greedy, change a few things, and then backed out of the deal. Sony would then go on to make the PlayStation, and, well, one dominates the console market. The other one is Nintendo. I think it kind of speaks for itself that if they had just worked together, all the crazy good stuff that could have been accomplished, but we were left with what we're left with, and we kind of just have to make do with what we've got now, just to be clear. And reason number 2, honestly, you feel like Nintendo would have eventually pivoted to making a card game for this, because, I mean, you already have the most dominant card force in the entirety of the world at your beck and call called Pokemon. And you think if a company can make Pokemon into this franchise that everyone knows, loves, and cherishes this way, with the IPs that they have under their belt, that they could make their own universes beyond and have their own version with all their IPs all gathered together to make one interesting trading card game, kind of like they did Smash Bros. Or Mario Kart, it would have already been done by now. So that's leading me to believe they're either A, just holding out, or B, just more or less kind of apathetic at the idea and just kind of tiptoeing around what they know is an absolute slam dunk of an idea. Which, while that is a no, it kind of leads me more to believe in the side of, yeah, this can happen. And because I believe this can happen, I took the time to make commander decks for all 4 precons that I believe can be made for this legendary series. Without further ado, let's meet their commanders and how their deck works. And I know this is going to be the controversial area where I'm going to kind of either make or break you from here, because The Legend of Zelda has so many legendary races, people, characters, ideologies, etc. So choosing 4 just for precons, it was kind of like pulling my own hair out, to be honest, because no matter who I choose, I'm gonna upset somebody. Leave yours that I forgot about in the comments section, or just let me know flat out which one deserved a spot over the one that I picked, because I'm just gonna lay out the 4 commander decks that we have, in my opinion. Number 1 should be the Zora. They have been instrumental throughout this series for any number of reasons. And honestly, having the Zora be tag teamed with the merfolk that already exist within Magic the Gathering, you can make some amazing decks post precon and be able to get more bang for your buck pertaining to an already existing series. So I think that is a slam dunk idea, and overall just a huge win for the company in general. The second deck is obviously going to be the Hylians. I mean, come on, did anyone not see this coming? Between Zelda, between Link, between everything else that we have going on, whether it was the Sheikah, or whether we had something pertaining to the Kings, even say maybe the King of Red Lions, we had so many good characters just come out from either Hyrule Castle or the town of, and ultimately we were able to build upon everything that they had here, and it just kind of makes absolute sense that this would be a deck to have in here. The third one is where we're going to get controversial, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but hear me out on the commander deck when we get there. The third is going to be the Gorons. I think they have a long and established history, and with the unique deck idea that I have in mind for them, including a brand new ability that's never been seen before in Magic the Gathering that I think can really make them an absolutely stupid, broken concept, I think we can make the Gorons probably one of the strongest decks out of all of them. And last but certainly not least, we're going to make a villains deck, because why wouldn't we? We had Lord of the Rings, and they had Sauron have his own deck, and they included a lot of the main villains within his deck. So to be able to have Ganondorf running around with his own army of darkness, it just kind of felt perfect. But with how many legendary villains have been incorporated into this series, it would feel wrong to disclude them. So we're just going to call this a villain precon deck and kind of build pertaining to that ideology. So without further ado, let's talk about why, number 1, the Zora, how they work, and basically some of their color symbiotics, so we can kind of establish where I'm going with things. For our first precon deck, we have the Zora coming right in strong as our merfolk, and a classic blue-green concept, because it makes perfect sense for who the Zora are not to be incorporated as such. But the main question is, who even is their commander? We've had so many great characters introduced. Who do we think deserves the top spot? And this one is a matter of opinion, but for me, if I'm going to be running a Zora deck, I think of Sidon as my commander, and he is going to basically be able to help buff up all of our merfolk, and with a mixture of Island Walk, Landfall, and +1/1 abilities for all of our merfolk creatures, they're going to be able to gather in number for relatively low mana cost, and just sweep across the board and go absolutely crazy, because within a blue-green deck, I can not only counter you, but then with the power of green, I can ramp like crazy, and we can make this deck just go crazy stupid, including such famous characters as, King Zora, Princess Ruto, King Dorephan, Mikau, Orin, even Zora Link. We can have some insane concepts in there. And for our home run character pertaining to this deck, we can have Divine Beast on Ruta and just let everybody go absolutely ham on this, because that one, of course, will have flying, and we can make things just go crazy just for the sake of doing it. Not a bad concept, right? And now on to our number 2 commander deck. In our number 2 commander deck, we have the one, the only, the hero of all time, let alone the hero of time. And yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of issues pertaining to which one specifically are we having, because all links are a reincarnation of Link, even though we had 2 links that were the same Link, and you get the picture. The timeline's muddied. It's like Kingdom Hearts out here, folks. That it's just everyone for themselves, and they'll continue to rewrite things as they see fit. But for this one, our commander is, of course, going to be the one and the only Link. Can we literally not pick this man to run this shop? And sure, Zelda is an insanely strong pick as well, but I feel like Zelda throughout the series has been more of an insanely strong support character to continue to buff Link and to continue to push him to do excellent and great things, that we need her in this slot. Think of it basically as Tidus's counter blitz deck, where Yuna is arguably the greater of the one as the commander, but we kind of give you both options so you can pick and choose which one you enjoy the most and kind of go with it. And for this deck, it's obviously going to be a soldier and nobility deck, because the people of Hyrule are just down for that action. Sure, they rarely win without the powers of Link and Zelda, but they are an extremely strong and noble race. So we're going to go ahead and give them that, and they're going to be a white, blue, green combo, where they're going to be able to have the abilities for equipment attaching on Link from all of his legendary kit that he's had all throughout the years, as well as we're going to be able to have people summon token soldiers who are going to gain extra buffs based upon the equipment that's attached to Link. So they're going to be able to amass a large army. Think of the Rohan deck in the Lord of the Rings precon, and let's go ahead and make that even more kitted out, a la Cloud for his deck for the Final Fantasy precon. So it's going to have some insane buffs. We're going to have some insane equipment, such as like the hookshot, the Hylian shield, the Master Sword. We're going to be able to have him have bombs. He's going to be able to have all that good stuff. We're going to make this man absolutely kitted out, including his bow, things of that nature. And everything pertaining to that deck, we're going to need some strong characters to help Link achieve his full potential, like we do in every single game. So we're gonna have people like Zelda, Sheik, we'll have Queen Sonia, King Aurora, Tetra, Malon, King of Red Lions, Impa, Beetle, and so on, just to go ahead and be able to amp up our hero and make him the most dangerous threat to every other deck out there. And our hero of time can once more be the hero of courage that we all need him to be. Without further ado, let's get on to our third deck, which is easily going to be our most controversial deck. Stay tuned for that. Moving on to our third deck, we have the Gorons, the strong, the powerful race, who are brave, stubborn, and overall just going to be a great time in this one, because they're going to be a classic red-white combination. My only main issue was kind of categorizing what exactly a Goron was, because they're just creatures that eat rocks that have hard shells on their backs and otherwise are really, really good at blacksmiths. So it's like, they're definitely not dwarves. They're definitely not lizards. Are they some kind of fancy turtle? And so that's kind of what I went with for the subclass. Let me know in the description below, because it's like I went through so much lore and so much stuff pertaining to the Gorons to kind of re-establish everything I remembered about them. And it was kind of hard to place them in one specific category where it just kind of felt like it was a thing. And I didn't necessarily want to have to force them to be their own unique thing. And I wanted them to have flavor, to be able to splash in with other Magic the Gathering ideas that people already have that pre-exist, and kind of make things mesh better than what it has initially, where we, you get fans on each side just yelling at the other for no particular reason, because it's still all Magic. But at the end of the day, who is going to lead our Gorons into battle? And Sure, we've had two picks already on deck between Sidon and Link, and both of them I usually prefer the more newer concepts pertaining to these characters. So let's give a little bit of a throwback to the leader of the Gorons, and I'm going all the way back to the Nintendo 64 days. We'll have Darunia leading the charge pertaining to our Gorons. And, he held a special place in my heart as someone that actually, as one of the sages I actually agreed with, which was crazy enough to say because he was one of the people who actually went into the actual temple itself. It was like, I'm going to go stand on business and go do my thing. So, shout out to Darunia. You're a cool character. But what makes this deck exciting, I think, is its own unique ability that I came up with. And as we know, Gorons eat rocks. Rocks, in a manner of speaking, are just a chunkier version of land. So what would happen if your Gorons ate your opponent's land? Sure, we'll have them only eat one per turn, but having such a broken ability like that would make the game really exciting. Sure, we'd make them have a high cost mana in order to get them onto the field, but once they get there, they can start slowly working on wiping out your opponent's land and making things really, really exciting in terms of that, because red doesn't really have too many board wipes. It's usually a blue or a black that's able to board wipe. So if we give red a fighting chance, I think things could be really, really interesting because they're going to be a red-white combo. So, and be able to eat other people's land, only one per turn, even if you have multiple Gorons, because otherwise that's just a game over and it's auto killer, and that's over the top. That's too much. I want to make them fun, but I still want to make them playable, if you know what I'm saying. I don't want them to absolutely just take over the game and be the only thing that people talk about. And then they're, of course, going to have equipment buffs because they're natural blacksmiths. Because Link, some of his strongest equipment he gets throughout the game is via Goron. So without further ado, we'll have Daruk, we'll have Big Goron, you'll have Yunobo, you'll have Darmani, you will have Bluto, you'll have Dangyro, you're going to have Darbus, Gorko, Metagoron, and of course, Goron Link be able to throw in there, because being able to get as many links shoved into this category as possible, I think will really help people be able to splash it in really, really well. And with all these equipment buffs that we're able to put on our Gorons and be able to eat other people's stuff and gain natural buffs, I think things could be really, really interesting for this proud race and make them kind of a broken concept pertaining to this precon that I'm trying to build. Without further ado, let's introduce our villains. And as always, we kind of know that people are going to lean towards Ganondorf. So naturally, he will be our commander, but with a twist. And as always, being, who he is the Demon King. So most of his stuff will be demon blend. So you'll be able to kind of splash him along with other characters throughout this precon into other exciting decks and kind of have some insane buffs, even for people like, say Raphael from Baldur's Gate 3, because I think that would be really fun and a really interesting twist on things that we already have going on within the Magic the Gathering universe. So our Demon King, of course, is going to be a red-black combination. And what you're going to try and do with him is siphon token power to buff up your Ganondorf, your commander, or your other villains that you have on deck, and be able to use them to activate their special ability. And Ganondorf will be able to transform into Demise, which most people aren't uber familiar with, but I think having Ganondorf be able to transform into Demise, I think would be very, very interesting, and have him be able to activate the Triforce of power, which of course the Triforce and all its parts will be part of, like, the chase, try and get all of them together, be able to, have one card art of each single piece, and whether it be the Triforce power, courage, or wisdom, and be able to kind of get things splashed together that way. With Ganondorf being our commander, we have a huge plethora of people that we can choose from to kind of make this deck kind of really pop, if you will, because like you have Girahim, you have Zant, you have Vati, you have Shadow Link, you have Bellum, you have the Happy Mask Salon, you have Yuga, you have Null, you have the Yiga clan, you have Majora from Majora's Mask. Like, you really have, even Shadow Link, Dark Shadow. Like, there is so much stuff to pull from villain wise, and you can have like the Lizalfos kind of be out there. You can have the spiders out there. You can have so many different varieties of characters to just kind of splash out as the rest of the army, where they have sacrifices in them, and then they buff up Ganon in exchange for life. So things can really make things super, super interesting. And I think it'll be a great time overall for that villain deck. And you're like, why no Kokiri? Why no Koroks? Why did we not have any talks about Midna? Why didn't we talk about the Shadow folks? Like, look, all of these things are going to be part of the chase, and they're going to be included in their own booster packs. There is absolutely no way to shove a universe this wide and this deep and rich in lore, especially with all the timeline confusion, directly into 4 perfect precons. And I would have loved to have Midna have her own deck, just because of how her impact on a lot of the games for me really, really played out. But it's like, why no Kokiri? It was kind of hard for the Kokiri to really get a prominent spot, even though Link is directly from them. Being able to say that after Wind Waker, they kind of basically abandoned most of the Kokiri, even though they said they became Koroks. It didn't really mesh or blend all that well. And yeah, sure, there is a Kokiri in Wind Waker, but after that, it was largely, I felt in my mind at least, abandoned as far as what we're going to do here. And having a list of basically only Saria, the kid who basically pumps rocks, and maybe 2 or 3 other prominent people, including the great Nikutri, it just kind of felt like overall a disservice to anybody else as far as building a very deep deck. So kind of had to leave them out there. I love them. I think they should be included in all of the booster packs so that you can kind of expand and then go with what you want to do, because that's the whole purpose of this video. This is Magic the Gathering. Build how you want to build. Build for how you want to play. It's the universe you love. Take care of it as you see fit. So by able to give more options, you're able to bring more players in, and overall, we're all going to be able to enjoy this game that we thoroughly love. What would you change? What would you want to talk about? What exactly do you think could stall this or make this happen? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you made it to this portion of the video, first of all, thank you for having your attention for the entire time. I know there's a lot of great content creators out there, and they have a lot of great content. We're happy you chose Geek Variants, and we hope that you'll be able to hit that subscribe button because you clearly love the content, and we're happy to have you here on board. I've been Brent for Geek Variants. I'll see you in the next episode.